Blackballed. Blackballed. Blackballed.
What is up, everybody? My name is James D. Fiore, and this is Blackballed. Okay, I'm a little giddy. As everyone knows, I'm a hip-hop head, and my favorite thing in the world to do is talk about hip-hop. And I'm going to make the intro short because he doesn't have much time, but I was able to land one of those guests that are like a bucket list guest of like, kind of like golden era pioneers, I guess I would call them. Rappers that impacted me when I was like a little kid writing rhymes without knowing what he was doing, probably totally biting this man's flow accidentally when I was doing it. But he's here. He's the co-founder of Death Row Records. He is a platinum selling artist, and his name is the D.O.C. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm impressed, my brother. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming. I know you're this is a little unorthodox and you have to go soon, but thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate that. I appreciate your I want to start kicking right off. In the formula, I just found this out today and I'm just startled that I didn't know this. The opening lines, high energy flowing with the wisdom, sense of a rich man, knowledge and the rhythm. Those components are inspirational rappers.
Those are people, yeah.
Can you break that down for us?
High energy is run. Flowing with the wisdom is KRS-One. Sense of a rich man is Slick Rick. Knowledge in the rhythm is Rakim.
That's dope. That's because that's like the four elements of what would make like a super god MC. You know, so yeah, go ahead.
I have so much respect for those guys as a shorty and what they were doing. I just want to be just like them.
I know that you're from Texas and I'm from Canada. I'm from Toronto. But when you talked about what you listened to when you were young, it was like the same stuff. Like all I cared about was New York hip hop when I was young. And it was funny because I saw someone on Twitter the other day accuse you. A weird accusation, but accused you of being, oh, you must be an East Coast guy because you're all about this. And it was funny because I just finished watching your interview with Talib Kweli, and you're like, well, I'm a Texas guy who listened to, you're like that bridge between the East and West in a lot of ways, were you not?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, you got into an accident that damaged your vocal cords. In fact, it wasn't even the accident that did it, was it? It was the feeding tube that they put inside of you? Is that right?
They're called innovation tubes. And they just, it was a life-saving sort of deal. And they were just trying to save my life, bro. And
yeah.
And they ended up doing some damage. But all of those things were meant to be. And I don't have any blame towards anybody, any hard feelings towards anybody, because all those things made me who I am today.
Yeah, I've heard you speak about that too, and it's a spirituality, which sounded a lot to me like synchronicity. The way that your life path intersects with either conflict or redemption or something, and just immediately does like a hairpin turn, and you're in a whole new life that you wouldn't have been in if one or two decisions weren't made, and unbeknownst to you, but here you are. The attitude that you have, was that something that you had immediately, where you're like, this is my path now, or did you have to work on that?
Oh no, it took me 33 years to start thinking like this.
Wow.
I was lost in a real tailspin of depression, drugs, alcohol, and suicide. I was not doing too well, but like I said, it was a path I had to walk, and it got me to where I am today, and I feel really good about the guy I am today.
It's fun doing a D.O.C. deep dive because first of all, I want to know what this D.O.C. didn't know that this one does. Like, if you could go back in time and tell this guy to go talk to this guy, what would he say to him?
I would tell him to buckle up,
Oh, yeah.
buckle up, but just be true to who you are, because the second guy and the first guy are really the same guy. It was
Yeah.
the shit in the middle that that was a little hard to deal with. But the young guy was just a kid that loved good music and wanted to be a part of good music. He was, in his essence, just a good guy. And the older guy with the Moses beard is pretty much the same guy. He's just essentially a good guy that loves making good art.
I don't know if you would call this accurate, but again, I'm from Canada, so I think I get a pass if I didn't know many others. But you were like the first non-East Coast lyricist that I remember listening to and going, "Oh wow, that's great," because I was like searching for rappers outside of New York when I was young. This is like the late '80s, early '90s kind of thing, and I always just did that thing where I associated lyricism with the East Coast and different kind of funky musical stuff with the West Coast. And then you came, and I was just like, and then I mean, obviously there's exceptions like Ice Cube and people like that, but it was the first time it was that stark for me. And what was the scene like in Texas? Like, did you feel kind of like I know you had a crew and everything, but was it small? Like, going back to like the late '80s, early '90s. Just give me a sense of what the vibe was like, and were there big events or were they just gritty underground events? Like,
Yeah,
what was that like?
I don't think there were any events. And small is like an understatement. It was just, neighborhoods, sort of like the beginnings in New York City. Just this neighborhood, and then that neighborhood had their sort of cast of rappers, but there wasn't any central location where anybody went. There were no big shows or anything like that before I left to go to California, amongst us down here anyway. There were shows, but it was always other people that were already succeeding who was visiting down here.
That's a cool kind of ground floor cultural, construction almost. Like, where your place, where you represent, or where you rent, I guess, right, is closely associated with styles usually. And I always thought it was interesting to hear different generational rappers talk about. One was talking about kind of building it, and the other one was talking about making it different. What do you feel how do you feel about today's hip hop selection? Like just as a generalization, but I know there's good and bad in everything. But just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I try to stay away from the judgment of it because I'm sure I don't understand it as well as the kids understand it, but there are bits and pieces of it that I really enjoy, and then there are bits and pieces of it that I don't as much. I think on a whole, in the year of hip hop, I think making a concentrated effort to try to return the music back to the four corners. Love, peace, unity, and having fun, and less angry, murder, death, kills stuff is really important, I think. I think even the kids understand it. They haven't had the voice to help pull them that way. And in that respect, I think all these things happening for me have sort of a purpose to it. And if nothing else, that's probably it.
Those rappers that you mentioned in the formula. Oh, by the way, I think so. The KRS One, I think, is definitely on my list as well. Did you when you were looking up to rappers before you met them and then worked with them? How was that kind of adjustment? Like, was there a little buffer time where you needed to kind of get used to the fact of where you were? I think of stories like you. I think of stories like Eminem meeting Dre, and I'm just like, what would you do in that situation? And you just put your head down and work, or what? And what was it like to establish a relationship from first you knew them and they didn't know you, and then you're equals?
Well, when I went to California, the California, as you know, it didn't exist. They were still doing bad records and do the LA Dream Team records and stuff like that. But I was a seasoned East Coast MC, so in my mind, I was better than everybody. So I didn't have sort of acclimate myself to anybody. I came in with the attitude that, you know, I'm the best thing smoking in here. Let's get to work.
Yeah. I like that East Coast swagger, and also I like when people surprise you. And you're largely acclaimed in some circles as putting out a gangster rap album without any profanity.
Yeah, and I think I heard somebody say it was a hip hop album disguised as a gangster rap album. I think that's
Yeah, I think so. I think it's accurate as well. I had a Canadian rapper on, Shad. I don't know if you watched Hip Hop Evolutions, but he was the cat that was interviewing everybody. And when I had him on, he was talking about how hip hop, or Tribe Called Quest, he said specifically, but how hip hop was like, when you're a rapper, you could be anything you want. It's like theater. You can be a director or a character from a movie that doesn't exist, or Shakespeare, or whatever, a king, and that it kind of opens up the portals of the mind for the writer. Is the age of the lyricist? Is that kind of like that four elements that you're talking about? I think of how there's hardly any ciphers. I never see ciphers anymore when I go out, and I used to see that all the time when I was young. Is that the kind of thing that you hope will resurface as well? Is that true lyricism?
bro. I'm in the streets, and I can hear that there's a subtle shift in the way these kids are trying to do it. Now they're not. It's not going to be a drastic change because the kids are doing what they think is going to make them money. But as an art form, there is a subtle shift in the paradigm. I can feel it. I can see it. So I think it's just a matter of time before what you're talking about ends up reality.
I may have just given away that I live in a forest in Canada. Right.
Oh, you Toronto guy? I'm supposed to be coming to Toronto here very soon to do some work with the No Sugar guy.
With who, sorry?
He's the No Sugar guy. His name is Brad Woodgate. He's got a company called No Sugar, and he and I are doing some work. He has a brand and sort of a mission that aligns with mine. He's a real hip hop man and wants to use sort of some of this movement to open people's minds to the idea of having less sugar in their lives. Excuse me, less refined sugar. And he's a good guy.
I think, yeah, I thought John Sally was doing something like this not too long ago. I thought something similar.
Yeah.
He's in the same vibe. Yeah. Listen, before you go, because I know you got to go. I have one last question, and it's kind of a deeper one. And I just wanted to, I have to ask this because it's weird. It's weird to me to like understand what it's like when you try to balance humility and a sense of your own history, to be viewed as sort of like part of the actual fabric of hip hop culture. I know that you probably don't want to be all braggy and stuff, but I just want to know if you understand that that's how we view you, and if so, does it give you pause, and what does it make you think of?
I understand that is exactly the way people see me and relate to me. And it's a blessing, bro. I'm thankful and I'm grateful. I don't take it for granted. But I'm a spiritual guy, so in the depths of my soul, I know that it's not me. I know that it's a God-given gift, and everything is coming from Him through me. And so if I look at it in those terms, then having a big head doesn't really come into the picture. You gotta give the sort of the glory, for lack of a better way, to the source. I'm just thankful He made me the guy.
Well, listen, I loved having you on. I'll let you go. Thank you again for doing this, and hopefully we can have you on again sometime. It's the hip hop's 50th birthday, so I would love to, later on this year, maybe catch up with you again and see how the year went.
Once the documentary comes out, I'll come back.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much. The D.O.C., thank you so much for joining us tonight.
God bless, man.
Let's see. The quick ones. I had all these plans for the construction of the show, which I normally don't do, but it was in my head. And it just when I booked him, it's funny because I sometimes have luck getting the rappers from the era that I enjoyed. In weird ways, but almost nobody answers social media DMs unless they follow you or something. And I think I tried his Facebook one first, and it came back in German or something, like this auto response. And I honestly didn't think I would get him. And then I hit him up in Twitter, and we coordinated, and here we are a couple months later. And I wish I had longer because he's such a deep guy, and he's also mastered the art of being deep while being simple, and I really like that about him. To have so just to put in perspective, he put out this album, No One Can Do It Better. This is his debut album as a solo artist, and it goes platinum in the States, and it sells millions of copies, and he's heralded as being sort of the next great rapper, the next great MC. He had like a lyrical, like you heard me say to him, he had a lyrical kind of prowess and sophistication that people associated with guys like Rakim. And then, but he was from Texas, and he was associated with NWA, and he ended up I didn't even get to the Death Row record stuff, but I didn't know quite how to say in a question, so what's Suge Knight? What's it like to be friends your whole life with a guy who's probably not a very nice person or something like that. But it was nice to have him. It's funny. It was almost a miracle that, the audio kicked out for him like once or twice, I think. And that's just because when you end up talking over each other even a little bit, those phones just like glitch right out. But it was a miracle that it just didn't freeze or just was the worst thing of all time. So that was fortunate. Again, a little too short for my liking, but I'm just happy to have him. For the first time in this this episode, I will look at the chat. Oh, great job! Thank you, James too. I appreciate that. And then there is Leanne who says, "Is this what they do? Is this what people do with comments?" And then Leanne Schaefer says, "Our hero of the beginning of music." Wonderful to meet you. I can't do this, guy. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Really? They're all great comments, but I guess I'm supposed to engage with you guys a little bit. I was told by someone behind the scenes that I might want to do a little bit more engagement than just ejecting people from the show on Fridays. So, here I am. Here I am trying to engage with my people. I engage with many of them one-on-one. This is too communal for me, and it's too distracting for ADHD people to constantly see something in the side of your vision and just keep climbing. All right. I have an interesting announcement that I would like to make. And I think you guys are going to really like it. I truly do. So, do this. Open. Okay, so there is a person who is my Facebook friend. And I don't know how quite to describe her. She is one of the most talented painters I think I have ever seen in my life. She also happens to have a particular look where if you are on mushrooms, she's quite delightful to look at. And I swear to God, I'm not just look at her boobs. But it's just she's got these tattoos, and you know that she's a great artist. And I'm just telling you, when you're on 6 grams of shrooms and you come across a photo of her, it's whoa. To the point now, every time that she posts a picture, I jokingly post a shrooms tripping out GIF, or GIF, whatever they're called. And now I am sitting here trying to figure out what to do to ask this person to be a guest on the show because I know that she's notoriously shy. And so what I decided to do was contact her and ask her if instead, like I asked her if she wanted to come on. And she was like, oh, I'd love to, but I don't know. And I couldn't get her to say yes. So what I did instead was I told her that I was going to sort of run a countdown to when Shrooms Girl comes on the show. So this is my dynamic creative brain has decided that the girl that I look at while I'm on shrooms, and I look at her art as well, okay, that she is, I want her to come on the show. So it's going to be the countdown to Shrooms Girl. So she's sort of tacitly agreed that eventually she's going to come on. But the convincing still has to happen. And I still have to try to figure out, if, how to interview someone that you feel like doesn't want to be interviewed. But I feel like her art will speak for itself. I also am very happy that I'm friends with a guy like D.O.C, because D.O.C and I put our heads together, and I should say. So this is one of them. Countdown to that's Shrooms Girl, and the quote from James says, "Just boss me around. It's fine." Words from a broken man. So we have that one, and then we have this one, Countdown to Shrooms Girl. There's another one that I really like because it captured. I was one of those guys that because I blame hip hop. I was kind of how should we put this? I liked girls that were like burlesque girls, and like roller derby girls. I don't know why. I think there was an aspect of it that was just like, I don't know. It feels like if you got in a fight, she might punch you in the mouth, but then she'd make amazing love to you or something. It'd be amazing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I got her permission, by the way, for all these, and I sent D.O.C a picture of her doing with her roller derby outfit on, and then I decided that is the king or the queen, I guess I should say, of all of these photos. So here's the one. So again, just for people who may have just joined us late, 2 minutes before the show's over, whenever I'm on shrooms and I'm scrolling through my Facebook homepage, if I happen to be doing that, and I come across a picture of this person, who is her name's Sarah, but I call her Shrooms Girl. She's also this person, and she's also this person because she was a roller derby person. Come on, guys. Like, if you're seeing, I feel really bad for the people on Spotify because they have no idea. They have no idea. But D.O.C does. Countdown to Shrooms Girl. So, I think we're gonna do Casual Fridays is when we're gonna kick that off, and I'll just bring it up where the guest is appropriate to bring up something like that. So, today was too short. I would have brought it up. But Casual Friday, I will. Every single politician, just to watch them squirm, I will, and journalist. And then I won't, actually I won't to like, to certain artists, because it will seem tacky to them. It says a lot about me that I didn't steal one of her paintings and put it up, but she said she had never sold them yet. So I didn't want to expose her work without her permission, so I didn't do that. Actually, the truth is I just didn't even think of it. I just thought of Shrooms Girl because I think it's hilarious. Because I told her, by the way, I'm like, now, I don't know if you get this a lot, but you're quite satisfying to view while on shrooms. The tattoos, everything else. And she was fine. She was like, I'm flattered. And so she proved the stuff, and now here we are. Do you think I'm desperate for content? Because I actually feel like I'm just trying to stay loose, There's a lot of that we tackle here, surprisingly. And it's nice to take a little bit of a break from that once in a while. On Friday. Oh, yeah, on Friday's Casual Friday. On Monday, we have I think he's been with The Simpsons as a writer and a producer for a quarter. I had him on the show before with the F is for right. Michael Price. Michael Price, by the way, for anyone interested, will be the writer of the episode of The Simpsons that will be on February 12th. And it is called Hostile Kirk Place. So yeah, so that's the episode title. I don't know why I gave you the title. But there's a guy from Restream right now. This is why I don't like Restream, who's bugging me in the middle of a podcast, and now I don't know how to get rid of the stupid thing. Okay. Yeah. So I'm super excited about that. So we had an agreement when he came on with the F is for Family writers, and I totally actually agreed. I asked him beforehand, should I just leave The Simpsons out of it? And he's like, yeah, you should probably do that. And then because I'm a constant showrunner, like it's breathing, I quickly said, maybe you'd like to come back and talk about The Simpsons. I can't wait to talk to you about The Simpsons. If you're my age, and I'm 46, or around there, and you've watched The Simpsons since, season 1, it feels like, especially when you lived through it, which I think is sort of rare, when something creates such a societal trend to the point where The Simpsons, I think, inflections that they use and variations of jokes that they say or ideas said in a different way, they shaped our sense of humor in the early 90s and late 90s like nothing ever. There was a distinct before Simpsons and after Simpsons kind of cultural ethos that was stark at the time. And I've asked so many people this, and even the ones that had never thought of it before immediately are like, yeah. I said an example on this podcast once. There was a band called Meh. The Simpsons are the one that made Meh a thing. Why don't you go outside? It's really nice out. Stop watching TV. Meh. And we started using it immediately at school. Teacher would be like, why didn't you do your homework? Meh. Works anytime. And just the general sarcasm, the episode where the Hullapalooza one, where Bart's like, making kids depressed is like shooting fish in a barrel. Making teenagers depressed is like shooting fish in a barrel. And the one guy's like, are you being sarcastic, man? And the other guy's like, I don't even know anymore, man. That line permeated everywhere. I used to go to different countries and hear people say a variation of that, and I knew it was from The Simpsons. I don't think that, I can't really think of a show that has had an actual tangible cultural impact like that one did. And maybe I'm just out of touch because I haven't had a TV or cable television in like a decade. So what do I know? But living through it, there was a definite transition in how we viewed humor. It was so sarcastic. Like everything was sarcastic. When my buddy and I, Dave will be on Friday. Dave has a new song. And the song's melody is great, but his face will make you cry. So stay tuned for that on Friday because you're not going to want to miss it. But no, but there's we have I have a chance to like pick the brain of someone who's sort of like responsible for a lot of the trends, or what do you call that, lexicon, like the phrasings, like the things that people say, the vernacular, that it's like the footprint of that show. So I keep on being distracted because people are coming in the back end. I'm gonna go, guys, if I need to go, but please. I have ADHD stuff. Anyways, so Michael Price is on Monday, and so I can't wait. The other guests, I'm working on cementing, but you know me, I'll have a bunch of stuff in store for you. And until then, we will see you next time on Blackballed.
Blackballed. Blackballed. Blackballed.